Episode 43 TJ Martino podcast. We're back, and today is going to be a very fun episode as we have another top list of 2021. I know we're already getting into 2022, but yeah, I'm just going to keep dropping these, I guess, up until hopefully after the movies list. That'll be my last one. But yeah, this is just another list that we have this year. Kind of looking back in order to look forward. I don't know. But yeah, I'm coming a little late with this one. I was hoping to do this a little earlier, but had a lot of stuff going on in early January and obviously with the holidays, so we're getting back into it, but whatever. Anyway, this list should be interesting. I actually have two lists. One's kind of a mini list, and the other one is actually like a list, but I think both of them are, going to be interesting. They won't be for everybody. But today, I guess, is this episode is the 2021 House Music Spectacular. I guess you could call it. I don't know if I'm going to name that the title of this, but it'll definitely be like this is going to be an episode surrounded by house music and dance music and electronic music, which I know isn't for everybody. So if this episode isn't for you, that's fine. But if you want to explore a new genre that's kind of, I think, underrated in a lot of ways, and maybe it's a little bit of bias because I love the genre. I think it's really inventive, and it's amazing that you can make grandiose music on a computer. With all you need is a computer to make music, and some people on their laptops, which is just insane. But it really is amazing what people can come up with, and it takes a lot of time and a lot of patience. And look, it's not as, I would say, as painstaking as, say, playing an instrument or something like that per se. But I think there is a lot of those elements that people bring to this kind of music, and a lot of, a lot more in instrument, sounds and music are either sampled or used than I think, people give this music credit for. I think it's kind of a really underrated genre, in my opinion, and I think it's really starting to get a lot of popularity in live concert scenes just because it's so consistent. Like, you're never going to get a bad performance, I guess, from a DJ. You can get bad mixes, though, and I've heard them for sure. But, in terms of these songs and this music, if you've never heard this genre and you just want to hear, a list of some songs to try out and search on Spotify or Apple Music, I also have a Spotify playlist called House Ya Box, which I'll put a screen cap up or something of eventually, which you can check out. That I have it so that every new track that I find is at the top of the list. I've already got some in 2022 that'll be probably competing for the 2022 list coming up next year. But yeah, let's talk a little bit about this year. With I only have one honorable mention this year, and it's the 2020 honorable mention. So this is probably my favorite track from 2020 that I've listened to a lot in 2021. But didn't make my list because I discovered it in 2021, in late 2020, and it just didn't make my list. So this is kind of like the one song, and I'll have this every year. It's like the one song that I missed the cut basically, but deserves attention, and that is "Moving Blind" by Sonny Fedora and Dom Dalla. And remember, I'm gonna butcher some of these names. Some of them are very obscure and European sounding, and but I'll try my best. But yeah, that one's an easy one. These guys made this track. I love the vocals on this thing. And I love how slow it is. It's probably like around 120 BPMs, maybe a little bit below that. And this track just absolutely knocks. It's a nasty banger. It's, I really like this track, and some of the remixes for it are pretty good as well. But I think just the original has that really nasty, vocal sample that keeps shaking it, and the Moving Blind vocals are just, it's such a dope track. I definitely think you should check it out. Now we're gonna go into the this is the mini list. So this is I guess kind of a new list, but it's the top 5 remixes of 2021. So these are 5 remixes that I think are the best of the year. I had some remixes in my list last year, but I figured, the house songs list should just be like singles. and then have remixes have their own little list. And maybe I might make it top 10 next year, but I just figured 5 would be good enough to start out with. And at number 5, we have Dreaming, the MPH remix. Really love this track. And MPH has been an artist that's been on my radar for some time, man. I've really enjoyed a lot of what MPH has been doing in the UK garage scene, and a lot of the projects and tracks he's been dropping on Nightbase have been really good. So yeah, I'm pretty high on MPH, and you'll be hearing his name probably again at some point. But this track I think has some really dope vocal sampling on here, and how he's able to kind of flip the slow original track into this not hard hitting, but just bouncy, fun garage, vocal track with very minimal production, but just really relying on the vocals to kind of do a lot of the heavy lifting. It's just MPH is doing some great vocal sample work in general, and he's really one of the best up and comers. Number 4 remix is I Need Your Love Tonight remix, the Vintage Culture Kiko France remix. Man, this track is an absolute festival banger, and this remix is just it's the the most used, most played remix, and I guess it's very popular. It's kind of a very pop selection, I guess, for me per se, but I really love about this track is obviously how catchy it is, but also it kind of has that mixture of house, bass house mixed in with that progressive house vocal chant kind of melody. So yeah, it's a nice blend and a really, really fun track. Number 3 is Disco Tool, the Taki New Light remix, and man, this thing is, I love the original Disco Tool track, as you'll probably find out. I think it's on my list. Yes, it is. Yeah, you'll find out. Oops, a little spoiler, but yeah, I love the original Disco Tool track a lot, but this remix just adds another level and uses a lot of the sound design from the drop, and is able to really just make a creative new sound. And that's what I like, is where remixes can keep the integrity of the track, of the original track, but also add a little bit of extra flair and oomph to a track, and can make bad tracks great and can make good tracks different and interesting. So this is one of those examples. Number 2 is In Da Ghetto by I think J Balvin. This track, yeah, originally. And it's the Chris Lorenzo remix, and it's J Balvin and Skrillex, I'm pretty sure, who did the original. Let me fact check that just so I make sure, because I'm actually interested. But I'm pretty sure that's correct. It is correct. Yep. All right. But yeah, In Da Ghetto. Yeah, this track was played everywhere. I heard it at Chris Lake when I was in New York City. He played it. This remix got a lot of play live, and I really like it. It's catchy, it's fun. I mean, it's not like the best made track of all time, but it does what it's supposed to do, and it's got like that very island feel to it, but at the same time has the the house production behind it. Because I'm not that big of a fan of the original version, but I actually just love how some house production just can really add a lot of energy to some tracks that I don't really love up front. But my number 1 remix of 2021 is Sweet Savage by Chami, the Buitano remix, and this remix is insane. The voice sampling on here, it was originally it was done by an artist who was really named JC Ordonez, but then changed his name he rebranded to Buitano, which I kind of like. It's got like kind of reminds me of like South America, Central American flair to it. But yeah, shout out to Buitano. This is a fire track, man. I think he's in Miami or something in Florida. I follow him on Instagram. He posts some cool stuff. So yeah, check him out, man. He's really, really good, and he's making a lot of interesting vocal sampling with this track, man. And this was definitely the best remix on Chami's Year Zero remix album that came out early last year, early 2021. So man, this was just a really great track, and I played this one so much. That's why it's my number one. It probably would be like top 3 in my list if it was included, but it's its own number one in that way. Great track, man. And the vocals on this thing, the vocal sampling on this, the drop on this is just insane. It's so creative. It's got just such a vibe to it. Man, I mean, Buitano is really killing it right now. Definitely one of my favorite up-and-comers. All right, now we're on to the top 20 house songs of 2021. We're going to get into this thing, and yeah, I'll have a little bit to say about each of these tracks, and then, as we go up, we'll talk more and more, but whatever. I always plan these things out, and then they just go off the cuff, but top 20. At number 20, Fly With Us by AC Slater and Chris Lorenzo. Chris Lorenzo and AC Slater came through with an absolute nasty bass house track, and that's the thing, a lot of night bass fans were kind of interested in the new, like, heavy emphasis on, UK house and UK garage music. But a lot of people were just kind of clamoring for another hard bass house single. And, two OGs of the game came together and put together just an awesome track with with a great drop. And, I think it does get a little generic at times with, the raise your hands up, like all that kind of stuff. I just, it doesn't really have the effect that it did maybe, 5 or 6 years ago, but that because every track uses those kind of things, it's just like, I mean, I know they're effective in live performances and stuff, but where this track shines is the sound design and the drop. Number 19, Never Let It Go by Bart B. Moore. And talk about an awesome sound design on this track. I mean, it's very inventive tech house track with some crazy vocal sampling and vocal effects. Man, just a really inventive, fun, interesting track. Really excited to see what this guy continues to do. Number 18, Freedom, You Bring Me by Snake Hips and Armin van Helden. I mean, just an awesome vocal sample, hard-hitting bass house joint, man. This thing is really great work from two really, prestigious, I guess you would say, names in the house music, electronic scene. I mean, Snake Hips has been making a lot of interesting music with, rappers like Chance the Rapper and Tinashe, and a lot of like hip hop and R&B, inspired electronic music. And then obviously Arvin Van Helden is a legend in house music. So these two coming together for this joint, it really rocks. Number 17 is an absolutely dark, nasty bass house banger from an artist that I'm really interested in and really liking a lot of her work, including another track, Quit Acting Up, which was on Dr. Fresh's House Call Records. But this track is my favorite by her of the year, and that is Baila by Wednesday. This track, nasty. I heard this for the first time and I was like, this thing is ugh. I mean, just the bass on this thing is out the wazoo, but just the use of silence on this, it's just the way the bass and the vocals and everything comes in and out. Yeah, really dope. Just dark, grimy sound to it. Big fan. Number 16 has some really good singing and vocals on here and that is Motorola by Apidon. I think is how you say it. Yeah, she's been doing some great stuff out of the UK, making kind of, a lot of that UK garage music, which has kind of caught fire in the house scene lately. And yeah, I really like this track a lot. I mean, it's not anything, it's very minimal, and it's not, anything to like run home about, but it's a great base for what could come for Apidon. I like, and I think this is her singing on this, and if it is, that's something she should continue to do, because I really like her vocals on here. The falsetto work is really pretty, and the way she's able to layer that with her super spacey sounding production, really good, interesting track. Number 15 is, this track. I'd be a fool not to put this on my list. It's Do It To It by A Craze. One of the biggest flat out house track. It is probably the biggest house track of the year in terms of play, in terms of, replayability in sets, radio hit. I mean, this track had it all, and it took, what song was that from the 2000s? That bounce with it, drop with it, lean with it, rock with it, step with it. All right, can't say anymore else. I'll get DMCA'd, but you know what I mean. That track, I can't remember the name of it, but classic. I can look it up. Might as well. But yeah, Cherish. That's it. Cherish. That's who they were. Yep. Cherish. That's who it was. And yeah, he took that track and just made it into a house banger. And I mean, yeah, it's not as high on my list just because, I think it's kind of, it can be seen as pretty lazy just taking a track and flipping it like that. But hey, this really worked out for him, and it became a hit on, TikTok and Instagram Reels and all that. And yeah, this is it's a really fun track. What can I say? Shout out to Cranes, and he's making some good stuff. So, it's definitely a track I had to include. As for really inventive tracks, we're going to number 14 on my list, which is Something's About to Go Down by Ante Up, which is Chris Lake and Chris Lorenzo's partnership duo, I guess you would call it. And yeah, I'm really excited for this Ante Up album that's coming out. These guys are making some really crazy, wacky, out there house music. Two legends of the game just coming together. Two guys that are really hot right now coming together and finally putting the project together because, they had dropped some tracks, Pizza, which was really popular, Hey Pablo, which is a really fun track, and other ones. But, people were all just like, okay, well, we want to see an album from these guys. And I think they finally announced that it's coming. And this track, though, in particular, is crazy. I love the drop on this thing. The crazy sound design, especially like on the cool down moments in between the drop and, the build up of the next drop, that little moment where you can kind of switch out that bow, 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 bow. I try to make like the sounds and it's weird, but yeah, like that moment is super crazy. The sound design on this thing is nuts. And these guys are really just in their bag right now. So I can't wait to hear a full project from them. Number 13 is Disco Tool, the track I was referring to earlier, by Matroda and Blue Claire. I mean, two guys that are killing it this year, coming together and making a super crazy, fun disco inspired house banger. And Blue Claire, man, this guy has been making a name for himself this year, just putting out some of the most interesting, unique, exciting sounding music that you'll hear. And we'll be talking a lot more about him later. But as for Matroda, he's another guy that I'm a big fan of. And he had a really good project that came out this year. Let me see if I can find it. But it's Jack the House 2, which is the sequel to his first Jack the House. Really like that project a lot. So, but as for this track, it's really great. It's catchy, it's fun, it's exciting, and it's got just crazy sound design on the drops of this thing, man. And really kind of the, Blue Claire in particular is really paving the way for the new generation of where house music goes next. And speaking of which, at number 12, we have an absolute nasty banger. When I first heard this track, this was one of the ones when I first heard it, I'm like, not really big on this. But as I heard it more and more and more, I started really falling in love with it. And that is High Caliber by Drinks on Me and Event Horizon. Man, what an absolute nasty banger this is. And you could tell that they just made this with very low budget, very cheap, but very well. But it's so crisp in the production. I mean, Drinks on Me is a guy I've been high on for about 2 years now. Really been a fan of him. Event Horizon's a guy I've actually kind of gotten into recently, and he's got a lot of interesting, unique sounding tracks I think you should check out. But this track in particular, I think it's so, and I think if the reason I didn't like it at first is that it is kind of minimal, you know, in its production, and maybe that's what I didn't like about it. But as I listened to it more and more, I was like, this is pretty catchy. And the drop, especially the first drop on this thing, just hits pretty hard. And I bet on speakers in a loud setting with drinks, playing this live in some, you know, warehouse in the middle of, you know, Manchester or wherever, or London or something, I bet it would slap. So you know, once the COVID is over, you know, which, you know, whatever, I'm not going to get into it, but once that's over in the UK, I definitely want to go there and like go to like a garage like event. I feel like that'd be sick. And especially if Drinks on Me is there. But yeah, this track's dope. Number 11, Complicated by Blossom and Bella Renee, who does the vocals on this. Yeah, this track was really cool in the way that it was, you know, kind of incorporates a lot of the pop vocals of Bella Renee with the absolute hard-hitting UK-sounding bass house drop that Blossom provides on this, and really liking Blossom a lot. She's been getting a lot of hype, you know, from Confession and Night Bass, and you know, a lot of the you know, house record labels and whatnot. So yeah, she's really making some good stuff. And I really like this track a lot. And I love the hook. It's very catchy and it's a fun track. And I think it's not going to be for everybody because it is kind of a hard contrast between, you know, pop, catchy vocals and hard hitting drops. But if you can, you know, wrap your head around it a little bit, I think you'll like it. Number 10. We're in the top 10, folks. And we're going with an interesting track here. A really nasty, grimy house banger, and that's not going to be for everybody, a bass house banger, and that is Loco by Kidtone and Tony, and that's spelled Tonii. So I don't know if that's how that's pronounced, but I assume it is. But anyway, this track is crazy. It's one of the best drops of the year, in my opinion. Really love this track. This is definitely one I could just see myself if I was DJing somewhere, just dropping this hard on a crowd, just seeing what they think. But Kidtone is a guy that's been really dope. Really enjoyed that track, Move It to the Sound, with him that he did with Siberian Express. That was an amazing track from a couple of years ago. So seeing him just evolve and make more crazy, wacky tracks is really dope. And he's really pushing the line as far as bass house goes and creativity. Number 9 is a performance from a brother-sister duo, Sammy and Lucy Verges, All Right. Wow, what a really fun house garage mixed a lot, though, with pop-sounding production that is just so bright and pretty and light, with some great vocals from his sister. I think they're probably brother and sister, or they're married. I don't know. I hope they're not brother and sister and married, but I don't know. I think they're brother and sister. I don't know. Who knows? But if they are, if they aren't, if they're cousins, if they're somehow related, that's the point. And shout out to relatives making music together. I'm all about that. And yeah, this is a great joint, man. Really catchy hook, great vocals on this thing, awesome drop, and just really bouncy, fun, happy, exciting production. I recommend this to people that are just trying to get into the genre. This is probably the one that I would recommend because it has a very bright, blissful sound to it, and it's not as gritty and hard hitting as maybe some of the other songs I've already talked about. But it's a nice primer for those kind of tracks. And speaking of one of those kind of tracks, at number 8, we have an absolute banger from two of the best to come out of Russia right now, and that is Sandman by the Phlegmatic Dogs. Phlegmatic Dogs have been in their bag for about 3 years now, man. Ever since that song, Quattro Cats, man, that track was insane. And ever since then, I've been a huge fan of the Phlegmatic Dogs. I really love these guys. They're killing it right now. And this track, Sandman, was their return to Night Bass, and man, it is nasty. nasty, man. The sirens on this thing, I think the sirens are maybe a little too loud on it, and that's probably my biggest complaint. But the I don't know though. Actually, now that I think about it, the sirens, just make the song in a way, because they're just so like, it's so in your face. And the vocals on here, I love the way they interplace vocals in here. And man, this track is so hard hitting. It's so nasty, and it's been nice to kind of see a lot of the OGs get back into it. And I know it's been a hard year. 2020 was for a lot of artists, just because it was hard to get out and travel and actually perform because the COVID. But now as places are starting to open up again, it's lights at the end of the tunnel for a lot of these guys. So support a lot of these artists, and I'll talk about that at the end. But anyway, number 7 is another one of these tracks where we take a classic track and bring it into the new light with a heavy 125 plus bass, BPM bass line and drums and everything behind it that gives it that house grandiose party sound to it. And that is Bongo Cha 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 by the Good Boys, which is a remix of a classic song from, I think, like the 1960s or 50s or something. But I'm sorry, I'm looking this up. Yeah, 1959, and brings this song into the light again. And makes it just a nasty, fun banger. And I love the drums and the bass that is provided here. And that's the thing. I mean, again, it is simplistic. And you could say the same thing about Do It To It. It's very much in that vein. But I think this song just does it better. And it has that classic horns and production from the classic Bongo Cha 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 song, and just brings it with that hard-hitting bass, man. I would love to play this live. Shout out to that track. Number 6 is kind of a guy spearheading the run in French house a little bit of new talent, and that is Frientz's Let Me, which was on a Noir sur Blanc compilation album. It's just a track called Let Me by Frentz. And Frentz, man, he is just nasty. And especially this track. I love this track so much. The drop is nasty, bro. This is probably my favorite. I don't know if this is my favorite drop, but it's one of them. It's up there with Loco and some of these other tracks. Just great. I mean, yeah, I remember hearing Mala play this track somewhere in a performance, and I was like, bro, what is this? And I had to add it. Really great stuff. Shout out to Frentz. Really doing good work. We are into the top 5. And here we go. Number 5 is a track that another one of these tracks when I first listened to it, I'm like, it's all right. But then I kept coming back to it more and more and more and more. And now, even currently to this day, love this track. It's Don't Want to Let It Go by Taki Newlight and Eloise Keeble is her name, who does the vocals here. And look, I gotta be honest, I don't think that she's the best singer I've heard, but I for some reason her voice sounds really interesting on this track and has really kind of grown on me. And I think she really just fits the vibe of this track. So kind of a compliment, I guess. But and that was kind of my thing at first. I'm like, I don't know if I like this that much, but it has really grown on me. And especially the second drop of this song is insane. I love it. And the first one is a little bit more melodic in nature. And I like it, but the second drop, it's just trancey. It's weird. It's out there. And Taki Newlight has really just been one of my favorite producers working, in the last 5 years. He's been absolutely insane, and he's just getting better and better and more intricate with his production and sound design. Yeah, man, this guy is really on another level in terms of sound design, production, and yeah, really love this track, man. And it's catchy as hell, exciting, and yeah, Eloise Keeble, she does sound pretty good on this track. I do like it. At first, I didn't. That was kind of my thoughts at first, was that she just didn't really fit it all that well. but she's really kind of, her vocals really did kind of grow on me the more I listened to it. And yeah, it's a good track. Number 4 is Spend the Night by MPH. And yep, here's MPH, miles per hour. Nah, MPH has been killing it, man. This guy is doing some of the best vocal sampling in UK garage right now. I mean, this track is so dope, man. From the vocal samples, I want to spend the night, like that, and then the amazing chord progressions on this thing, man. This track is just off the hook. Really, really awesome stuff from MPH, and he's just he's one of these guys that's just coming up in the garage scene, doing a lot of interesting remixes, doing a lot of interesting flips and production and sound design and exciting, energetic, fast-paced tracks. And that's what this is, man. You just feel like you're moving 100 miles per hour while this song's on. Number 3 on my list is the lead single from one of the albums that actually made my albums list, and that is Never Let Me Down by Gorgon City and Haley May. Awesome track. I talked about this one a little bit with the top albums, but yeah, this track made this album for me. It's so catchy, so great. The piano chords on here are fantastic, mixed in with just awesome energy and vocals from Haley May. Great work, man. This is an awesome track. Gorgon City, just an awesome duo coming out of the UK and making some great pop, tech, bass house inspired music. Really great stuff. Number 2. We're at number 2 on my list for the top 20 house songs of 2021, and that is Get Down to the Beat Like This by Blue Claire and Utoro. Dude, I remember when this came out early 2021, I was like, this is the future of house music, is this track. Just so creative, blend of 80s, early 80s, late 70s sounding disco mixed with hard banging house music and drums and production and great vocals on this thing from the get-go. You just feel the energy. You feel like you're just in a weird space between, traveling back in time to the 80s and traveling forward into the crazy unknown future. It's a nuts track, man. And Blue Claire, Utoro, who's been doing some interesting work as well. Listen to some of his tracks, really like what he's doing. But these guys came together, and Blue Claire is just a trailblazer, man. I think this guy is really the future. And a lot of people are really high on him. And rightfully so. I think he's really making some awesome, new, creative, interesting, inventive house music. So Blue Claire, shout out to you, man. Keep killing it. Keep pushing the envelope. We appreciate it. Number 1. This is it. This is the final pick for my number 1 house song of 2021. And it is an awesome, very, low vibe, but just groove, spacey joint, and that is Movies by Drinks on Me. Yeah, Drinks on Me, man. He has really been pushing the envelope. He had an EP that came out this year that I thought was pretty okay. I wish it was a little bit more varied, but again, I think it's kind of grown on me over time. I really do like the project, and I think that this guy is really, talk about pushing the envelope. Him and Blue Claire, MPH, Sammy Vergi, Matroda, Blossom, Wednesday. These guys are all killing it. I mean, really just putting out some incredible music, and they're really kind of the future of this sound, and very excited to see as this genre slowly creeps further and further towards the mainstream. This track, and I'm not saying this track is necessarily mainstream, but I just think this is the direction to go in. The moody, spacey, out there track that makes you feel like this nostalgia, like you're being pulled in some sort of direction. Really awesome track. Good music video too, that you could tell was just made by the everyday man. Like, that's the thing I like about Drinks on Me. A lot of time he just posts videos of himself making music on a laptop, and it's just like, man, to be making music this creative and this out there on your computer, is pretty groundbreaking, and you know, this guy is really killing it and really putting out some great stuff, doing a lot of the vocals himself. Not necessarily, I don't know if he did them on this track or not. Maybe he did, but if he did, really great stuff. I think in just the melodies he comes up with, especially on this track, is great. And like, I don't think necessarily this is the best produced sound on here. I mean, the best produced track on this list, but I think just in terms of vibe, in terms of vocals, in terms of feeling, this is it, man. This is it. And I think, yeah, I'm a really big fan of this track, and shout out to Drinks on Me. But honestly, yeah, that's my list. And let me know what you guys think. That's my top 20. And yeah, I just kind of wanted to talk about a little bit about just why you should care about this, and why I care about it, and all that for the next few minutes. But and then we'll wrap it up. But yeah, I mean, this is just, it's something I want to keep doing. I want to keep pushing this this genre forward. I think it's kind of an interesting genre that, you know, I think with a lot of more eyes on it and a lot more attention on it could really, you know, expand into something huge. And I just love dance music. I love the atmosphere. You know, some of the most fun times I've had have been just in a big crowded area, just grooving, and everybody's having a great time. And that's really like the vibe you get from these concerts. You know, that's the thing. You go to, like, you hear about a lot of these rap concerts, and I've been to a lot of these rap concerts, and like, I like, you know, rap music a lot here and there, and a lot of these songs have a lot of hip hop inspiration to them, and hip hop sampling in a lot of cases. But you know, with a lot of those concerts, you know, especially with the Travis Scott Astroworld thing, and you know, there has been a lot of violence at a lot of these concerts, and not just rap, but just like a lot of big festivals too. But it's never happened at an electronic house concert. And I also at a lot of dubstep concerts, there's a lot of violence too, I've noticed. And I'm not trying to generalize or throw shade, because I like going to rap concerts every once in a while. I had a lot of fun at JID a couple of years ago, and I haven't been to one in a minute. But I haven't really been to concerts a whole lot, but in general. But yeah, I would say like a lot of the dubstep, and even country concerts have a lot of fights too, and a lot of violence. So, but like, the point I'm trying to make is that like, house music concerts are the only concerts I've been to where I've never seen any fights, even in like tight, you know, auditoriums and bars and clubs that I've been in. There's never been contact or fighting. And I'm sure, you know, people can bring up examples on, you know, anywhere that, you know, there is the case, and you know, this is obviously just me being anecdotal, but you know, I just think the atmosphere at these concerts is great, and it's really euphoric and fun and exciting, and it's just great to get away from all the BS of the world and life and everything just for an evening, and just groove to some great beats and exciting mixing and production. And I think these guys, all these names that I named here, are that. And, you know, they've had a tough 2020 and 2021, I can imagine. You know, a lot of these guys make most of their revenue. They don't make it off streams, that's for damn sure, because nobody makes anything off streams. You know, they make, like, what was it? T-Pain posted that chart that had, like, what was it? You know, it was like they make like what 0.003 cents for every, you know, stream they get. It's like, so it's like a lot of these guys make their money off of live performances and doing shows and doing clubs and doing concerts. So it's like, you know, I just think that we got to support them in that way, you know, and that's how you support a lot of artists that you like. And you know, the best way, I think, for a lot of these guys are independent, or they're, you know, they do you know, tracks with different, you know, labels and all that. And so it's just like, it's great to just kind of support these guys as best you can. So, you know, check out these music if you like it, you know, buy their merch or whatever, you know, find out whatever best way you can do to support them. Cause yeah, you know, I respect and love anybody that's willing to stick their neck out and be creative. So, you know, even if I don't like the tunes or like what you're doing, I still respect that you want to go out there and do the thing. Cause there's a lot of people that are just wannabes and say like, oh, I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that, but then they never actually do it. So it's just like, it's always refreshing to see young people, especially a lot of these people are younger than me. They're kids and out here doing this, and, you know, so respect to them. And, you know, I want nothing but the best, and especially for this genre, which I think is slowly creeping its way into the mainstream as more and more colleges and bars and places. I'm hearing more and more house music playing, and more and more house remixes, and more people mixing house into it. And I'm like, all right, I'll be waiting with the OGs at the gates, to open you in and let you in, because I'm not going to be a gatekeeper. But we will be waiting for you, in house music land. But I think this music's just great. It's a lot of fun. It's exciting. And it's an exciting time to hop up on the wave as we slowly creep towards the mainstream. But yeah, that's all I've got to say, man. Support these artists. Support house music. Support the genre. Keep streaming it. The streams do help. I mean, I can imagine you probably do make some decent money off that. But support these guys in live concerts as those start to happen more in wherever you live, and keep doing what you're doing. Artists out there, keep working, keep inventing, keep getting creative, and maybe you'll make the list someday. But yeah, that's all I've got, man. Support the artists, support me. Check out the website, tjmartino.com. Check out Heat on Game, my gaming series. We're playing Batman Arkham Asylum. It's basically Batman Arkham Asylum, only with Batman wearing the Robert Pattinson Batman skin. So it's just the game. But yeah, check that out. And yeah, we're going to do top 10 movies with Gary whenever. I got to figure that out, but probably within the next couple of weeks. So be on the lookout for that, y'all. Thank you so much for all the love, and let the beat drop.